Above the Rim, revisited. Where are they now? More than just a basketball film, Above the Rim, 1994, was a gripping tale of ambition, loyalty, and the street's relentless grip on dreams. Starring a mix of rising actors and music legends, the movie remains a cult classic in both sports and hip-hop cinema. But where are its stars today? In this deep dive, we uncover the real names, current ages, and latest whereabouts of the cast. From Tupac Shakur's unforgettable role as Birdie to Duane Martin's portrayal of Kyle Watson. Some have risen to greater fame, others have taken different paths, and sadly, a few are no longer with us. Join us as we revisit Above the Rim and see what happened to the faces that brought this iconic story to life. Kyle Lee Watson. Kyle Lee Watson, portrayed by Duane Martin in the 1994 film Above the Rim, epitomized the image of a confident and skilled basketball player with aspirations that exceeded his ego. He possessed the talent, self-assurance, and shooting ability, but lacked patience. Kyle was eager to reach the professional level, but instead of remaining grounded and working hard, his attitude hindered his progress. He believed he was the star on the court, but he faced tough competition. Caught between the disciplined approach of his high school coach and the street allure presented by Birdie, played by Tupac Shakur, Kyle found himself at a crossroads. Birdie recognized Kyle's potential, but also saw a chance to manipulate him. Kyle had to decide whether to follow the straight path or take a shortcut through the streets. At the time, Duane Martin was 28 years old playing a high school student, which was a common occurrence in the 90s. Now at 59, he has built a successful career beyond Above the Rim, appearing in films like White Men Can't Jump, 1992, Deliver Us from Eva, 2003, and The Seat Filler, 2004. On television, he starred in beloved shows like All of Us and Real Husbands of Hollywood, showcasing his comedic talent. Nowadays, he maintains a lower profile. But for many fans, Kyle Watson will always be remembered as the fiery player who learned the hard lesson that talent alone isn't sufficient. One must also have heart. Coach Mike Rollins, portrayed by David Bailey. Coach Mike Rollins, portrayed by David Bailey, was more than just a coach. He was a pillar of discipline in a chaotic environment. He valued structure, teamwork, and earning one's position on the court. However, his star player, Kyle, often clashed with this philosophy. From the moment Kyle entered the game, the tension between him and Rollins was palpable. Kyle craved the limelight, while Rollins focused on winning, which required a cohesive team rather than a solo act. Each time Kyle attempted to dominate the game alone, Rollins' frustration was evident. Rollins recognized Kyle's talent, but understood that unrefined skill without discipline could lead to disaster. So, when Kyle became overly confident, Rollins made a bold move that many coaches would shy away from. He benched him. This decision highlighted Rollins' true character. He prioritized the game over egos and was committed to doing things correctly, even if it meant making enemies. David Bailey, who was 61 at the time, brought a wealth of experience to the role, having acted since the 1970s. He portrayed Rollins with a compelling mix of authority and exasperation, making him feel like a seasoned coach who had faced numerous challenges. Sadly, Bailey passed away on November 25, 2004, after drowning in his pool at the age of 71. However, his legacy, much like Coach Rollins' philosophy, serves as a reminder that true greatness is not solely about talent. It also involves heart, discipline, and the ability to prioritize the team. Richie, portrayed by Michael Rispoli, was the type of character who always seemed to be in the loop. He had connections and influence, and he made sure others were aware of it. A regular at Birdie's club, Richie was knowledgeable about basketball, not just as a fan, but as someone who monitored emerging talent. He could identify potential, recognize who was worth investing in, and understand who could be advantageous to influential people. Always impeccably dressed, Richie had a distinctive style, featuring sharp suits and a chain with a round pendant, often worn over his tie to draw attention. He exuded a presence that made one curious about the extent of his connections. At 34, when Above the Rim was released, Michael Rispoli was already establishing a solid career in film and television. Over the years, he has accumulated over 50 acting credits, appearing in a variety of gritty crime dramas, action films, and engaging TV roles. Now at 64, Rispoli is still a familiar face in the industry, consistently delivering performances that add authenticity and depth to every character he portrays. Whether he's playing a well-connected character like Richie or someone entirely different, he knows how to captivate the audience without going overboard. Starnes, portrayed by Henry Simmons, wasn't the most vocal or attention-grabbing player on Kyle's team, but he had a lot of heart. He prioritized the team's success over his own individual achievements. While Kyle was focused on showcasing his own skills, Starnes observed his selfishness with disapproval, frustrated by his teammates' unwillingness to play the game properly. It was clear that Starnes was not interested in the drama. He simply wanted to win as a team. Henry Simmons was 24 when he took on this role, and although it wasn't a major part in Above the Rim, it marked the start of a promising career. By 2000, he secured a significant role as Detective Baldwin Jones on NYPD Blue, which brought him into the Hollywood limelight. From that point on, Simmons became a well-known figure on television, regularly taking on both leading and supporting roles in popular series. Now at 54, he continues to thrive, demonstrating that his talent and presence are undeniable. Whether in crime dramas, action shows, or other genres, Simmons keeps making an impact, showing no signs of slowing down. Bob, portrayed by Sean Michael Howard, was the devoted friend who never received the recognition he deserved. He and Kyle had been playing basketball together since childhood, supporting each other through the junior leagues. However, once Bug was released from prison, Bob was sidelined as if he didn't matter at all. To be honest, Bob wasn't the strongest or most self-assured player on the court. He lacked Kyle's skill and Bug's street smarts, often appearing as if he was just one poor performance away from being benched for good. Yet, it was hard not to feel sympathy for him. He was the kind of friend who was always present and making an effort, even when he wasn't appreciated. At 25, Sean Michael Howard perfectly captured Bob's understated and overlooked essence. He made Bob feel authentic, resembling that one friend we all know who tries hard but struggles to fit in. Besides his role in Above the Rim, Sean appeared in The Cable Guy in 1996 and has built a career with various guest appearances on TV shows. While he may not have been a major Hollywood star, his portrayal of Bob left a lasting impression on viewers of Above the Rim. Even if Kyle overlooked him after Bug's return, true friends know that Bob was a genuine companion. Motal, portrayed by Wood Harris, was a character that instilled fear. He wasn't merely Birdie's enforcer, he was his shadow and his most lethal asset. There was something deeply unsettling about how naturally Motal navigated through violence, as if it were instinctive. He didn't just make threats, he was serious, and it was clear he would act on them without a second thought. He wasn't pretending. He truly embodied that persona. Motal showed no remorse, hesitation, or fear. When Birdie issued a command, he carried it out without question. This unwavering loyalty ultimately led to his downfall. When Birdie instructed him to eliminate Shep, he arrived at a basketball tournament armed, treating it like any ordinary day. Who does that? This guy. And that was what made him so frightening. However, the streets are unforgiving. Just as he dished out violence, it returned to him. And in the end, he was the one who met his demise. Wood Harris brought Motal to life with a passion that has characterized his career. At 25, he was just beginning. But over the next 30 years, he established himself as a significant presence in the industry. He appeared in Remember the Titans in 2000 and solidified his reputation with a memorable role as Ace in Paid in Full in 2002. Now at 55, Harris continues to impress, demonstrating that he is one of the most versatile and underrated actors in the business. Cindy Malika portrayed Birdie's girl, a character who was always by Birdie's side, embodying the essence of a submissive woman. She never questioned him, consistently followed his lead, and fulfilled her role without hesitation. Whether at the club or navigating his world of power and control, she remained steadfast. Even when everything fell apart and Birdie's was taken down, she was there to witness it all. At just 24, Cindy took on this role in Above the Rim. But unlike many of her peers, her acting career didn't flourish. She decided to step away from the entertainment industry and has since led a private life. While it would have been wonderful to see her back on screen, she has chosen to focus on making a positive impact in other ways. Currently, she dedicates her time to community initiatives and supporting significant causes. Recently, she has been involved in breast cancer research, using her platform to raise awareness and aid in the fight against the disease. Now at 54, although she has left Hollywood behind, her influence persists in a different form. While fans may remember her as Birdie's devoted girl, she is actually building her own legacy that extends far beyond the role that first brought her into the spotlight. Birdie, just the name itself held significance. Portrayed by the iconic Tupac in the 1994 film Above the Rim, Birdie was more than just a street hustler. He was a leader. Cunning, merciless, and always ahead of the game, he ruled the streets and dominated the local basketball scene as if it were his own kingdom. If there was a game happening, you could bet Birdie was involved. He didn't merely observe the tournaments. He controlled them, bringing in the best players to ensure his team triumphed. This is where Kyle entered the picture. Birdie recognized Kyle's raw talent, but more crucially, he noticed his vulnerability and eagerness to succeed. Birdie thrived on that. He showcased the money, the lifestyle, and the security, making it clear that aligning with him meant victory. However, there was no real option. Once you were with Birdie, you were his. Yet, even the smartest players can make mistakes. Birdie believed he had everything under control, but the one person he underestimated, Bug, ultimately led to his downfall. In a surprising twist, the underdog defeated the top dog, demonstrating that no ruler remains in power indefinitely. Tupac was only 23 when he portrayed Birdie, but he infused the character with a depth that made it unforgettable. And when discussing iconic performances, Juice has to be at the forefront. Bishop? That was on another level. Taken too soon at 25, Tupac left a legacy that continues to influence the industry. His music, films, and impact are unparalleled. Flip, portrayed by the iconic Bernie Mac, was more than just a homeless man from the neighborhood. He served as a poignant reminder of how swiftly life can bring you down. When he first appeared on the court, challenging Kyle to take that initial shot, he was dismissed as if he were insignificant, too old, too broken, too overlooked. However, Flip wasn't always in such dire straits. He once had skills and still possessed a fierce, competitive spirit deep within. One of the most touching moments came when he looked at Shepard and said, "Don't forget about me." That statement resonated deeply. Flip wasn't merely addressing Shep. He was speaking to the world at large. He exemplified what happens when time moves on and leaves someone behind. It made you question whether he was truly insane or simply aware of too much. Yet, despite the sorrow, Bernie Mac infused the character with something unique. His effortless humor shone through even in the bleakest situations, and his presence made every scene feel authentic. At 35, he was already making a name for himself in comedy. But it was in the late 90s and early 2000s that he became a household name. He captivated audiences in films like Friday, 1995, The Players Club, 1998, Ocean's 11, 2001, and of course, The Bernie Mac Show, where his candid, no-nonsense humor solidified his legendary status. Sadly, he passed away in 2008 at the age of 50. But his legacy endures. Bernie Mac was not just a comedian, he was genuine. Like Flip, he will always be remembered. Bug was a character who just couldn't catch a break, even if it was handed to him. Portrayed by Marlon Wayans in the 1994 film Above the Rim, He was Kyle's friend who had just been released from prison, trying to reintegrate into a world that had moved on without him. He had skills on the basketball court, but let's be honest, he wasn't as impressive as Kyle. Nevertheless, he wanted to be part of the action, which led him to connect Kyle with Birdie. You really had to sympathize with Bug. He was like that loyal friend who always tags along but never gets any recognition. Birdie kept him around but never truly respected him, treating him like an unpaid intern in a crime organization. Bug wasn't a bad guy, but he had that instinct to survive, like a stray dog looking for a home who might snap if pushed too far. And push him they did. No one expected Bug to pull the trigger on Birdie. One moment he was being bullied, and the next, he was sending the boss to his demise. It was a shocking twist. Marlon Wayans nailed the role, capturing the raw emotions of frustration, insecurity, and a sense of having had enough. By that time, he was already making a name for himself, but his career really took off afterward. He went on to star in films like Scary Movie, 2000, White Chicks, 2004, and Little Man, 2006, showcasing his ability to excel in both comedy and drama. At just 22 back then, Marlon is now 52 and remains one of the most dedicated entertainers in the industry. Whether he's making us laugh or surprising us with serious performances, Bug will always be remembered as that underdog who ultimately had the last say. The sassy waitress, portrayed by Iris Little-Thomas, was one of those characters who, despite limited screen time, made a significant impact. She worked at the local cafe that Shep frequented, and from the first moment she saw him, she was intrigued. Here was this tall, brooding man who came in daily, sat by himself, ordered the same dish, and hardly spoke. She couldn't just ignore him. She felt compelled to address it because, honestly, it was obvious she was a bit attracted to him, but Shep, he wasn't reciprocating. Nevertheless, she made an effort. She teased him playfully, trying to draw him out of whatever dark place he was in. It wasn't merely about flirting. She genuinely wanted to understand the burden he carried. Perhaps she thought she could be the one to make him smile or even open up. But Shep wasn't interested. He shut her down, and you could see a hint of disappointment in her eyes. It wasn't just about being rejected. It was as if she realized in that moment that he was too far gone. At the time, Iris Little-Thomas was 37 and is now 67. She has appeared in films like Malcolm X, 1992, Law and Order, 1990, Boycott, 2001, and Everyday People, 2004. However, to fans of Above the Rim, she will always be remembered as the waitress who took a chance. Mylika, portrayed by Tanya Pinkins. Mylika, portrayed by Tanya Pinkins, epitomized the strong Black mother archetype. She dedicated herself to her work, made sacrifices, and did everything possible to guide her son, Kyle, in the right direction. While Kyle had ambitious dreams and a large ego, Mylika was determined to keep him grounded. She quickly reminded him who was in control, using that tough, no-nonsense love that only a mother can provide. However, Mylika was not solely focused on Kyle. She had her own life to lead as well, which introduced Shepard into the picture. Kyle was not pleased with the thought of his mother moving on, particularly with Shep. He was very much a mama's boy, and it was uncomfortable to see him become so possessive, as if he expected her to sacrifice her happiness indefinitely. Pinkins portrayed Mylika with depth, making her more than just a concerned, supportive mother. She was loving, yet firm, and her character was complex, caught between the desire to protect her son and the need to embrace new experiences. At 32, she brought this complexity to life. And now, at 64, she continues to thrive. She has appeared in films like Strapped, 1993, and Enchanted, 2007, showcasing her versatility across various genres. For many fans, she will always be remembered as Mylika, a woman who loved fiercely, stood her ground, and refused to let anyone, even her own son, dictate her life choices. Monroe, played by Byron Mins, made a significant impact in Above the Rim despite limited screen time. As the high school security officer, he was more than just a rule enforcer. He genuinely cared about the students. While Shep seemed to float through life aimlessly, Monroe provided stability, maintaining order quietly. He had a knack for diffusing tense situations, whether it was resolving conflicts in the hallways or during the intense encounter between Shep and Kyle's mother. He commanded respect without needing to raise his voice or assert his authority. At 32 years old, when Above the Rim was released in 1994, Mins had already established himself in black cinema, particularly with his memorable role as Ray Ray in South Central, 1992, where he portrayed a ruthless street boss who controlled Deuce's fate. This performance cemented his reputation for effortlessly embodying both power and intimidation. In addition to his roles in Above the Rim and South Central, he appeared in Trespass, 1992, alongside major Hollywood stars, and later showcased his comedic talent in Black Dynamite, 2009. Although he has kept a low profile in recent years, his influence endures, and fans hope to see him return to the screen, reminding everyone of his underrated talent. Shepard, or Shep, portrayed by Leon Robinson, was initially quite frustrating. He seemed indifferent, walking around in silence and brooding without much reaction. However, once you discover his backstory, it starts to make sense. Shep was once a star on the basketball court, but one fateful night while playing with his best friend on a rooftop, tragedy struck when his friend fell to his death. It raises the question of why they were even playing up there in the first place. This incident shattered Shep, leading him to abandon basketball and lose faith in himself and everything around him. The subsequent loss of his mother only deepened his withdrawal. Years later, he returns to his old neighborhood, hoping to keep a low profile, but life and Birdie had different ideas. Kyle needed guidance, and Birdie was pulling him into a dangerous lifestyle. Although Shep wanted to stay out of it, he realized he had to intervene when he saw Kyle heading in the wrong direction. The climactic game became his chance for redemption, allowing him to prove to himself, Kyle, and others that he still had passion. At 32, Leon Robinson infused Shep with a quiet, haunted presence that made the character memorable. Now at 63, Robinson continues to act, recognized for roles in The 5 Heartbeats and Cool Runnings. Yet for fans of Above the Rim, Shep remains the fallen hero who had to lose everything before discovering he still had something worth fighting for. Above the Rim was more than just a movie. It was a statement, a reflection of the times, and a soundtrack to a generation. As we've seen, the cast has taken different paths, but their performances continue to resonate. What are your favorite moments from the film? Did any of the cast updates surprise you? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into classic films and the lives of the stars who made them unforgettable. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay legendary.